All right, new day. Welcome back, everyone, to Togainu no Chi. I think it's pronounced this way. Now that we know what it means, well, now that we actually thought about what it meant, I think it's Togainu no Chi. Or Togainu no Chi? Something like that, right? I think? Maybe. What? Who cares? I always called it Togainu no Chi when I was like 11. I don't know. I was way too young. I remember I was way too young when I found out about this. But maybe like 14, 15. I don't know. I called it Togainu no Chi. So that's what it is. Let's not try this out any further. Anyway, welcome back. The last episode was beautiful. Let's jump right into saving Rin, hopefully. I have no idea what's going to happen to Keisuke. But maybe we can save Rin. And that's all that matters, isn't it? Okay, the first thing he sensed as he rose from sleep was a wet smell in the air. It's Rin. It was followed by a faint patter, the sound of rain. His body felt sluggish, as if all of his exhaustion had pooled in his joints. He dozed for a while, eyes half open, lazily contemplating the cracks in the ceiling. As his mind came fully awake, he realized that he was lying beneath a damp blanket. And then he remembered what happened. Rin! He sat up and looked around. The room's only window revealed a grey, heavy sky. Rin sat against the wall below it, hugging his knees. Rin, please don't tell me you regret what happened. His smile was slightly shy. That's good. The morning after! Oh gosh, so awkward. They couldn't even carry on a regular conversation. The events of last night replayed in his head. He quickly chased the memories away, though they filled him with a confused excitement. Imagine the morning after and you can't even distract yourself with I'm gonna make us some coffee or whatever. You know? What was this giddy bashfulness that rose inside him like bubbles in a drink? He couldn't explain. It felt like discovering a new part of himself. For his part, Rin looked far healthier than yesterday, but maybe that was just because his expression had softened. He'll be back.
Toshima から出るための準備をしてる。CF シートにゴーレンがとうとうぶつかるらしい。そっか。今日中に戻ってくるとは言ってた。けど、戻ってこなかったらここを出ろとも。
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my cat meowing in the background. I don't know what he wants. Usually at this time of day, when he meows like this, it just means that he's about to use the toilet. Yes, he lets me know before and after. So, yeah. I always hear him talk about it before the smell could ever reach me. Anyway, sorry about that. Oh, Jesus. He's really insistent today. Koki, I know! I'm proud of you. Okay.
まあ、あのおっさん意外と抜け目ないしさ。大丈夫だとは思うけどね。
Though Rin's tone was light, he couldn't keep a shadow of worry from his face. While Akira gathered his clothes... Sorry, it's really hard to concentrate. While Akira gathered his clothes, Rin gazed out the window, brooding.
おっさんが心配か。
Rin looked over his shoulder and blinked as though surprised, then smiled wryly.
ああ、うん。それもあるんだけど。あのさ、アキラ。
Rin stared at the ground, hands curled into loose fists. When he looked up again, his eyes were filled with resolve.
俺、やっぱりあいつを、シキを探しに行く。
Rin.
昨日は嬉しかった。本当に。けど、やっぱりこれは俺自身のけじめなんだ。
Yeah. You know what? I'm not surprised, and I understand, but just don't... I wish you would not be suicidal about it this time, though, you know? Kind of go at it together with a strategy, maybe?
このまま、シキを無視して出ていくことはできない。あいつを倒さない限り、俺は、俺の枷を断ち切れないような気がする。断ち切って初めてアキラのそばに立てる。そう思う。
左足の怪我もまだ治ってないだろ
う。こんなのどうってことない。
Did you hear that defensiveness in Akira's voice? He's really changed.
武器だってない。
Look at him, he's like kind of desperate about it.
すぐに手に入れられる。
Baby.
明日にでもディバイドラインが封鎖されるかもしれない。そうしたら豊島から出られなくなる。
アキラ。
Rin. Rin's forehead wrinkled as he didn't know what to say. Then he smiled reassuringly.
俺、あいつ倒してどうにかしてここから出るからさ。
Baby, you can't do this.
そしたら戻ってきてもいい？
You expect me to leave? You expect me to leave you here alone? You cannot be serious. There's no way I'm going to leave you here. How was he planning to win, to escape? He knew that Rin would not answer if he asked. Akira fell silent, wondering at this thing called fate. He'd never put much stock in it himself, but if it existed, it clearly had a sense of irony.
前の俺はとにかくあいつを殺すことしか頭になかった。反面、あいつに殺してほしいと思ってたのかもしれない。
Yeah, you know what? I understand that, but isn't it different now? At least slightly?
今は違う。
Yeah.
今はあいつに勝ちたい。勝って、
Yeah.
アキラと一緒にここを出たいって思ってる。だから。
Yeah, I get it. I get it. However, can't we leave for now? I mean, Shiki's gonna survive. Of course he's gonna survive. And he'll always pop back up. Can't we leave and be safe until this blows over? And then we can always come back and kill him again. You know, there's no time constraint on it. We can just come back, right? Can't we just leave for now? Pain flickered through Rin's eyes, but when it was gone, there was only strength.
俺はアキラを信じたから。アキラも
Excuse me?
俺を信じろよ。
Rin.
嘘ついたら殺してもいいから。
Rin. Hell will freeze over 5 times. 5 times, 5 separate times. Warming up in between before I leave you here and go on my merry way. There is absolutely no way that I'm gonna leave without you. Perhaps his last line was a joke, but Akira couldn't bring himself to laugh.
そうだな。
He couldn't think of anything else to say.
必ず追いかける。
Sweetheart, at least let me be with you. Rin's lips brushed his slightly. The sensation soon vanished, but his light blue eyes, intense and piercing, would be impossible to forget. Yikes!
じゃあ、
Baby! Please!
また。
Please don't do me like this. Please. Oh my god, I'm actually upset. I'm taking this too personal. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm proud of you, baby. Oh my god. It's really hard to take this emotional scene while also having to tell my cat that I'm proud of him for successfully shitting in his toilet. I don't know why he needs this confirmation every bloody time, but he does. So, there you go. Rin backed up for 2 or 3 steps, squeezed his eyes shut, then spun and ran from the room. Akira sat there, listening as his footsteps vanished into the distance. This was something Rin needed to do, the last link in the chain binding him to the past. There was no room for Akira to intervene. It would be wrong for him to try. Can't you just two-time him? You know, tag team him? Can't you just do something like that? Or, you know, blow him up? I don't know. Just, does it have to be fair? Because it's already not fair. Rin's leg is still fucked up. And yet Akira knew that in all likelihood he would never see Rin again. He breathed a heavy sigh. What was this burning in his throat? Regret? The memory of last night rose again in his mind, in his flesh. He felt it in the palms of his hands, the tips of his fingers, on his skin, in his ears and eyes. It was there in every part of his body. Go after him! Why now? There was nothing he could do but wait, even if there was no reason to hope. Just run after him, please! Rin had asked for his trust. That was why he hadn't been able to keep Rin from going. Yes, but also, like, come on, please. Please! Below the roar of the rain, he heard the sound of footsteps. He looked up, the door swung open, its hinges creaking.
まったく雨が止まねえな。でもなんとか準備が。あ？
just comes up and he sees Akira like crying in the corner of the room, like, ah! Like, my boyfriend just left me. Like, I'm laugh crying right now. I'm so I'm so sad. But it's also so funny to think of Akira. Oh god. He's just sat there crying in the corner. Motomi entered the room muttering, a black file in his hand. His hair and clothes were wet. He'd returned sooner than expected, which no doubt explained the relief on his face, but that vanished as soon as he saw Akira was alone. He scanned the room with hard eyes, then turned to Akira. What's that fish smell in here? Where's Rin?
What?
Not knowing how to explain, he let several moments pass without speaking.
アキラ
出て行った。
出て行った？どこへだ？
Akira shook his head. Motomi sighed.
何しに行ったんだあいつは。
Shiki.
決着をつける。
誰と？
イルレだ。
Motomi's eyes went wide.
イルレだと。どうして止めなかった？
Yeah,
あんな体じゃ無理に決まってるだろ。
I know. Motomi took a step toward Akira, his glare so fierce that he might as well have seized him by the front of his shirt. Akira looked away. Well, he'd had his reasons. Ultimately, he was the one who let Rin leave. The creases on Motomi's forehead grew deeper, but at last he turned away and sighed.
すまん。熱くなっちまった。どうせあいつが言うことも聞かずに飛び出していったんだろう。
It wasn't exactly like
意
that.
外と頑固だからな。リンは何か言ってたか？
He said he loved me, but not enough
戻ってくる。
to stay with me. Said he'd come back.
まあ、本人がそう言ったんならな。何？大丈夫さ。きっとな。
He sounded certain, but Akira could tell that it was taken in effort.
さて、それじゃあ行くか。って。
Yeah, no way in hell. I'm not going anywhere. Motomi stopped halfway through his turn toward the door, a startled look on his face. What could he have seen, Akira wondered.
た、バカだ。
Rin? Rin?
リンも、お前さんも。
It's not Rin, is it? Motomi let out a short, exasperated breath, then smiled crookedly and reached for Akira. His thumb brushed Akira's cheek. It felt slippery. Only then did Akira realize that he was crying. Astonished, he turned his face away and hastily wiped his cheeks. He took a deep breath before looking at Motomi again.
リンは
Oh my god. Oh my god. This goddamn edgy game. Why do I have to take everything so seriously? Jesus Christ. What about Rin? Motomi gazed at him with soft, crinkled eyes, but eventually he shook his head.
もう時間がない。結構やばいことになってんだ。今日の夕方には日光連側が封鎖されちまう。このままじゃ俺たちも出られなくなる。
I'm sorry, Motomi. I'm really, really sorry. I'm so grateful for everything you've done. But I cannot leave without him. I can't. Only he'd known, but it was too late. And could he have stopped Rin even if he had?
どっちも死んじまったらあの世で会うしかねえが、生きてりゃまた会えるかもしれん。
I need to be with him.
片っぽが決死の戦いに挑んでんだ。もう片っぽぐらい確実に生きとか
He
ね
should
え
have just, tagged along, He shouldn't have left his side. Rin can do what he's gotta do, but let Akira at least stand in the corner and watch, let him be there. It's just, damn it. Damn it! Fine, I don't know. Fuck. Fuck! I don't think I could get myself to leave with Motomi. I think I wouldn't even be in this room. I would have run after Rin right away. I don't know. I'm clingy, okay? Motomi patted him on the back. I don't trust anyone to be safe when I'm not looking. I lost too many people, okay? Well, one person, but one's plenty. Motomi was right. All the regret in the world would not let him take a different path. His only choice now was to keep moving forward, and believe that someday they would meet again. It was only a hunch, but Rin didn't doubt it for a second. He knew where Shiki would be. Where? A fine mist of rain clung to his body like fog. It seemed like it would never stop. Thick black clouds covered the sky, plunging the city into darkness. Is this Rin POV? The expressway on which he stood had barely survived the war. Long, jagged cracks ran through the concrete, and large chunks of the structure had collapsed. A rusted chain lay across one end of the road. It looked like a graveyard, he thought to himself. The light pools that stood on each side of the road were bent and tilted in every direction. Sorry, but like, is this how a graveyard looks like in Japan or wherever? Like, graveyards are very different around here. Like the makeshift headstones that would sprout on old battlefields. Yikes. A man stood on the road ahead, his clothing darker than the night. In his hand he held two long shapes. Rin approached, dragging his sore left leg, letting his gold hair lie plastered onto his cheeks and forehead. His breath was heavy and his limbs leaden, but his colorless lips wore a smile.
Yappari koko ka.
Baby. The man in black looked over his shoulder, his crimson eyes smoldered, two coals in the darkness. Well, should have salted me back then. Shiki turned to face him. Thanks for the compliment.
そっちこそ俺がここに来るって分かってたんだろ
It was the same as the place where his friends had died. Oh. Ooh. When he'd found them, it had been on a closed-off expressway in Area Ghost. Their bodies had been pressed up against the chain-link fence as if they'd tried to escape. Even now, the memories carried an echo of the shock and despair he'd felt then.
陳腐な感傷にいつまでも囚われているようだからな。どうせならお前の大切な仲間の思い出とともに沈めてやろうと思ったまでだ。
How the fuck could she say that? She thinks
ありがたくてヘドが出る
Rin's comebacks are the real MVP in this game. Like, Akira's comebacks are really, really shitty, but Rin's comebacks, dang.
感情に左右されやすいのはお前の欠点だな。
Yeah, well, better than a certain someone. That was why his friends had died, if he hadn't trusted this man back then. It was the night after they'd won another Blaster Championship. The rest of the team had gone to party at their usual hangout. Rin had business elsewhere, so he'd planned to join them later. He was hurrying down the street when someone had called his name. He turned reluctantly, figuring it was a corporate scout or some punk with a grudge. When he saw who it really was, his mind went blank. His older brother, Shiki, who he hadn't seen in years.
久しぶりだな。
As Rin stood there, mouth hanging open, Shiki had walked up to him with a smile. Shiki, the brother he'd admired for so long, was looking at him, smiling at him. This had never happened before, no matter how he'd struggled to catch Shiki's eye. He would never forget the surprise, the awe he'd felt in that moment. This is so sad. Shiki had asked him questions, and he'd answered. Yes, he was fighting in Blaster. Yes, he had a team. Oh yes, he still loved to stargaze. He and his teammates always chose bases with a clear view of the stars. Oh. He couldn't believe that Shiki remembered his fondness for the sky at night. He thought that Shiki knew nothing about him. Discovering that he'd been wrong was one of the happiest moments of his life. This is so fucking sad. And so when Shiki had asked him where one could best view the stars, Rin had drawn him a map to his favorite spot. His team kept a base nearby. Shiki found it and laid an ambush. Ah.
所詮はお前の考えることだ。恨むなら火遊びが過ぎたお前の仲間と自分の愚かさを恨むんだな。
Oh my god. Oh my god, this is absolutely awful. I mean, to be honest, to be fair, like, either way, it's not Rin's fault in the slightest. But also, like, Shiki could have found them by himself. He didn't need to fool Rin. He really didn't need to. This seems kind of like sadistic to me, because there's no fucking way in hell that Shiki wouldn't have found them without tricking Rin. I feel like this was just sadism, you know? Pure sadism. And that's disgusting to me. Even though I'm a bit of a masochist, in bed, this is different. This is just really, really fucking disgusting. I don't know.
分かってるそんなこと けどな。
Choking rage rose in his throat. He bit his lower lip to keep himself from trembling.
許せねえ。どうしても人の気持ちにつけ込んで俺から何もかも奪っていったあんたを。
You really didn't have to do that, Shiki.
あんたに少しでも心を許してしまった自分もだ。
バカ。
Fuck you! Shiki raised his chin, a cruel smile upon his lips. Damn it, I hate that I know this about him now. Because I wanted to like him. I wanted to be, you know, kind of like, oh, I'm looking forward to his root and all that shit, you know? I wanted to look forward to Mr. Sexy Legs. But now I know this about him and I can't. Bleh! Now he disgusts me.
俺はずっとあんたを殺すことだけを考
Like,
えて生きて
seriously,
きた。
what the fuck?
それがたとえ差し違えることになっても、そうしたらいつの間にかあんたへの憎悪に縛り付けられて身動き取れなくなってた。
I don't know about that.
どっちかが終わるまで。
Is it really that serious? Is it? Like I've never been in a situation like this, obviously. Like I've never been in a situation where someone, you know, was at fault for someone I love leaving me or dying, whatever. I don't know this kind of thirst for vengeance, I suppose. Is it really that, you know, is there no other way?
だから俺はあんたを殺して自由になる。
Oh, baby, I wish there was another way.
思い込みもそこまで来ると見上げたものだな。
What do you mean by that? With a surge of malice, Shiki tossed one of the long objects he was carrying at Rin. It hit the road in front of him with a clang. Katana.
取れ。
Rin picked up the weapon with quivering fingers. Its firm weight reassured him that this wasn't a dream. He closed his hands around the sheath and hilt as each inch of gleaming steel emerged. The pounding of his heart grew stronger. He tossed the sheath aside and swept his sword through the air, once, twice, 3 times. Its razor edge parted the rain with barely a whisper. Now Shiki's blade appeared, gleaming darkly in the pale lamplight, a perfect twin of the one Rin held. Rin's senses sharpened to a needle point. He could sense each minute, each second ticking past. His body was at its limit, but it didn't matter. A boiling energy had risen within him, drowning out the pain and exhaustion. Remember Akira, don't die. Ooh. Damn. It's not fair for a psychopath to be this hot. Now Shiki raised his sword. As always, the sight of him made Rin want to flee. He was the pure, uncompromising malice of a man who loved nothing more than battle. But then, Rin realized that something was different. His life had been spent pursuing this man. He could not help but notice. Shiki never took a stance before battle, yet now he stood with his sword at eye level, parallel to the ground. He's taking you seriously. And at last Rin saw it. The darkness had deceived his eyes before, but now he realized that Shiki was as pale as a corpse. And there, from his right sleeve, dripped something blacker than the rain. Whoa! Motomi's explosives? The explosion in the Colosseum! There was no other explanation. A calm smile played about Shiki's mouth.
お前にはこのぐらいのハンデがあった方がちょうどいいだろう。
So would you have died either way? What do you mean handicap? Rin is barely holding on to his leg, you know? Like, it's like infected beyond all hell. What the fuck are you talking about, handicap? Rin felt his own lips curve in a smile, though he couldn't say why. A spasm of pain shot through his leg. Normally a wound like this would be a death sentence in battle, but right now he was glad for it. An animal was always strongest when wounded. Something told him that Shiki felt the same. Ooh, look at Rin. Shattering laughter burst from his throat. So in the end, it came down to blood. He charged, forcing his legs to propel him forward with all the strength they still possessed. Ahead, Shiki charged to meet him. Their blades rang out in the night. Wait, that's it? I want to know! Tell me! I want to know! With Motomi leading the way, Akira managed to make it to Nikoran in one piece. In one piece. The journey took him through the old lands, the wasteland surrounding Tokyo, but Motomi knew the safe roads and they crossed without incident. The divide was flooded with volunteer workers returning home, plus refugees from Tokyo hoping to make it across the border before the war began. Stern-faced inspectors checked everyone's papers, sending those who failed to pass muster back crying and screaming. Oh yeah. Motomi assured him that their false IDs would be adequate, but Akira was still anxious that someone might uncover their deception. When their turn came, they presented their ID cards to the inspector. He asked a number of questions, but Motomi had warned Akira not to say anything, so Akira held his silence. Though the inspector seemed somewhat suspicious of Akira's refusal to respond, Motomi's quick thinking and silver tongue saw them through. The war began shortly thereafter, and though it ended in 2 years, the casualties were far from light. One of those casualties was Tokyo. The last war had left the city a lawless wasteland. This one finally reduced it to rubble, unfit for even the most desperate to survive. Everyone expected the CFC to achieve a crushing victory, but the tables turned when foreign powers lent Nikoran their support. Ultimately, it was Nikoran that emerged victorious. The new government of unified Japan swiftly launched a campaign to revitalize the country. After peace returned, it looked for a time as though Akira might have to stand trial for the murder of which he'd been accused back home, but Emma's plot soon came to light and his name was cleared at last. Beneath the flag of Nikoran, Japan had taken its first steps towards a new future. Wow. Okay.
ああ、わかった。いや、俺はまだここにいるから。うん。それじゃあそっちも元気で。
Is he talking to Motomi?
気をつけて。
Akira ended the call and slipped his phone into his coat pocket. It was the first time Motomi had called him in a while. The last time they'd spoken was maybe half a year before. What? Motomi had become a freelance journalist and now spent most of his time overseas. It would be another year, he'd said, before he could make it back to Japan. The wind was cold on Akira's cheek, and yellow ginkgo leaves carpeted the streets. Oh, beautiful. Heralding the arrival of autumn. As the sun set, a scarlet hue bled across the sky. All around him, people were hurrying home. A pair of students ran past, laughing and chatting happily. Oops, sorry. Akira's eyes softened as he watched the road, adjusting his scarf to keep the chill from creeping through the gaps. 3 years had passed since the Civil War had ended. What? So it's been like 5 years since we saw Rinrin? Igra had vanished into the rubble of Tokyo, and rain had become a distant memory. No one knew where the members of Viskio had gone, but Akira had no interest in finding out. Keisuke? He hadn't forgotten about any of it, of course. He could still remember vividly those days he'd spent in Toshima. And nor had he forgotten the promise. Akira let out a short breath, straightened up, and began strolling away. Not in this game! Sorry. Sorry. As he walked, the order and cleanliness of downtown gave way to less wholesome sights. Chest-pounding music leaked out into the road. Young people crouched by the curb, laughing crudely. Sketchy-looking stalls offered equally sketchy-looking goods. Even now that the rhythms of life had returned to normal, the youth of the city found forgotten corners in which to indulge their urges. Blasta was still going strong. That said, it was neither as widespread nor as violent as before the reunification. Nowadays, it was almost a legitimate sport. Akira didn't fight anymore, but from time to time he came to watch. Was it nostalgia that kept bringing him back? He wasn't sure. There was still time before the next fight, so leaning back against the wall of an alley to it. He leaned back. Oh yeah, whatever. We all know what I mean. Also, this is fucked up. It's not my fault. Blast always brought back memories. His old life in the CFC, Igra, all the people he'd met. Rin. Akira had never forgotten him, not even for a day. Even now, 5 years later, the words Rin had spoken remained engraved upon his heart. But he could feel the hole inside him slowly expanding. On starry nights, he would go to the top of a building and gaze at the sky, thinking of Rin. 5 years was nothing, he told himself, compared to the time those stars had seen. Oh, this is so lonely. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm feeling it, you know? I'm really feeling it. It was little comfort, though. Despair was a heavy burden, and it grew so fast. That is so true. Before he realized it, the next match was about to start. A crowd of exuberant teenagers ran past. Pesikoshka was still a legend among Blaster fans and fighters. He'd heard that many teams had stolen the name. Oh, that's sad too! He stepped away from the wall to follow the crowd, and there he stopped. There was someone behind him. For a second, a familiar tension filled his body. He hadn't felt like this in a while.
まだ参加してんのでもきっと見に来てるんだろうって思ってたけど
You know, I knew he would come back. I knew this would be like the joyful reunion and all that, but god damn it. God damn it, Rin! 5 years? Are you fucking serious? He froze just as he started to turn. This is worse than what Noise did to Akira. This is so much. No, not Akira. I mean, fuck. What Noise did to Aoma. This is so much worse. Fuck. He froze just as he started to turn. Was he hallucinating? He knew that voice.
遅くなってごめん
Yeah, you better be fucking sorry! His heart struck one heartbeat, then started to race. Perhaps he was hallucinating. Perhaps the struggle to keep hope alive had driven him mad at last. He exhaled a shuddering breath, telling himself that it couldn't be true, knowing that disappointment would kill him. He'd become a coward. But there was nothing to be gained by stalling. The only way to move forward was faith. He forced his feet to turn around. Oh! Whoa! You've grown up! Whoa! You've grown up! I thought you were around 20, but apparently you were still a teenager back then. Whoa! Rin! Are you taller than me now? Blue eyes, pale skin, golden hair, the same as before, though 5 years had changed him. Yeah, he had a growth spurt!
東京から抜けるのに時間かかっちゃってさ
What the fuck do you mean by that? Why do you still have Shiki's katana with you? Rin smiled awkwardly. He was taller than Akira now. Back then, Akira had been the one to look down on him. This is gonna be awkward when we're gonna, get back in the sack, Now you're taller than me. He thought of so many things to say if they'd ever met again, yet right now, he couldn't bring himself to speak a single word. Rin cocked his head, looking a little worried, and stretched out a hand. His palm felt warm against Akira's cheek.
幽霊じゃないからな確かに足は一本足りないけど
So you did lose the leg. I fucking knew it, you dumbass. Akira couldn't help glancing down, but both of Rin's feet were firmly in contact with the ground.
左は偽物
That one's fake.
あの時の
The wound eye. On that rainy day, he'd slashed Rin's left leg open. He could still remember how the wound had looked, red and glistening. Rin shook his head.
都市までアキラと別れて兄貴とやり合った時に
Oh,
あっさり
it wasn't the infection?
それじゃ式は
答えは今俺がここにいるってこと
Damn. Then he'd done it. He'd cut himself free of his past. He looked into Rin's eyes, which seemed gentler than before. No matter how much Rin had hated his brother, he'd also idolized him, and the same blood had run in their veins. Akira could only guess at Rin's pain.
待っててくれた
What the fuck do you think? What? He looked away. How was he supposed to answer that?
アキラ全然変わってないな
You've changed too much! Rin's eyes narrowed mischievously.
正直途中でダメになりかけた時もあったもうこのまま諦めようかって
5 years, Rin! What the fuck were you doing?
けどそれじゃ何も変わらない自分の殻に閉じこもってた時と同じだ
Were you fighting in the war? Like, what
諦
happened?
めなかった諦めなくて
As Rin finished speaking, he presented something to Akira, a katana sheathed in black.
これは
Shiki no.
兄貴が持ってたやつ形見になるのかな
What? Why?
これ
I never held a sword in my life.
俺が
Why?
アキラの隣に立つために蹴りをつけようと思ったんだそのために勝ちたいって
You should have finished fucking sooner, Rin.
こいつをアキラに預けてそれで本当に終わる俺の中のあいつへの執着も憎悪も未練も
I missed you so much. Akira scrutinized the sword for some time, then raised his eyes to return Rin's earnest gaze. He reached out and took the sword. Its solemn weight settled into his hands. Rin exhaled softly and smiled, a smile of relief. Yeah, you better be fucking thankful, bitch. This moment. I'm sorry, I'm getting really emotional about this. Oh god. This moment marked the end of a long, long journey for Akira as well as for Rin. Ever since they'd parted ways, Akira had carried Toshima with him. Now he could finally let it go. It was a dam breaking deep inside him, unleashing a flood of cool, clear water to quench the thirst of his soul. It was over, but he would never forget. If nothing else, there remained concerns about his blood. He hadn't experienced any abnormalities yet, but there was no guarantee that nothing would happen in the future. He didn't mind, though. Even if it became a burden, he would still choose to remember. He had lost something precious, suffered wounds of heart and body. He would carry those memories with him as he walked on step by step, especially because you probably still have Takeru's sword, and you lost Keisuke, right? No doubt there would be more to carry. There were so many roads still to walk, but as long as Rin was by his side, he knew that the burden would not crush him. They'd ended one thing together, now they were starting another. They would be together for the next ending too, no matter where it took them. Oh, I like the music. Wait. Don't. No. No! You cannot be serious! That's it? That's it? Really? You cannot be... You have to be fucking kidding me. I wanna know what Rin was doing these 5 years. He said something of it took longer for me to return or to get out of Tokyo. But 5 years? Seriously? Oh my god. I wanna know. I wanna know what happened, you know? Oh, fuck. I can't believe it. Oh, the music is great. I really like the music. But also, like, oh my god, that was such a roller coaster. Oh my god, I'm like messed up inside. I think I like, oh, these kinds of stories, they always like mess with me so much because I always kind of like, I don't know, I fill in the gaps with things that personally happened to me, and I get really fucking emotional. And now I'm really fucked up, okay? I'm like legitimately messed up right now. That was insane. Oh my god, even though the game was so edgy and so funny in the beginning, like the actual parts, you know, the way that they actually talked, oh, that messed me up, man. And the voice actor, bro, the voice actor really nailed it. He really did. Wow. Also, the ages, I don't even want to know. You know what? Let's not get into that, okay? We're just gonna... My canon age for Rin was 20. It's still gonna be 20. He had a freakish growth spurt because anime, okay? Let's just put it that way and not think about that. Man, I really wish there was something like Reconnect or something. I want to know more. This is not enough. Charo-kun, what? Anyway, thank you so much for sticking with the series. The Rin ending is my canon ending. It's the one I got, and I'm really happy that it's the one I got because I really like Rin. I want to know about the Motomi ending too, though, so I'm gonna play for the Motomi ending. I don't know how many endings I'm gonna do. I kind of want to do all endings, but I'm not entirely sure if I will. We'll see. But I also really want to know more, and if this game is anything like Dramatic Matter, then we're gonna find out more about Akira's blood, only if we play more routes, because every route has like more information, you know? So, yeah. Let's, yeah. Maybe I will play all routes. We'll see. Thank you so much, Just USA, for charging me $5 extra. atop the game. But whatever. Thanks for the for the translation. Thanks for an awesome game. Thank you for letting me finally play it. I wanted to play it ever since I was like starting with anime and all that stuff. So this is really great. Thank you for sticking with me, everyone. And hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. Maybe even the next episode of Togainu Nochi. Maybe even the next episode of whatever route comes afterward. Yeah. Have a good one. Have a great drink. And have a nice evening, I guess. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.